Alright everyone, welcome to the Paw Print. Today I'm going to be giving you a little bit of a tour through World versus World. This is probably my favorite game mode in Guild Wars 2. It pits 3 servers against each other for a battle that's supposed to last about 2 weeks. Right now they're doing 24-hour rematches between servers so that they get a much more comprehensive grouping. So that your battle is much more even, and as you can see right now, even though Dragonbrand, my server, is in last place, we're actually paired with 2 fairly good servers, and the battle is relatively even, and right now we have the highest additional point total, so we should be catching up here pretty quickly. And this is exactly what ArenaNet is going for with World versus World. You want to be paired against servers of equal skill. So what I'm going to do here, the first about 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, is going to be a little bit of blabbering, a little bit of talking to those players that have never done World versus World, because they might just be intimidated by it. And I definitely don't want that to be the case. I want everybody to enjoy the shit out of this because it's a blast. So to start, whenever you zone into World versus World, I have to zone into the central area, which has Stone Mist Castle, which is, I don't want to say it's the main objective, but it is definitely the most heavily stacked point objective, almost always under assault. There's always people in Zergs trying to get that, and then you will have 1, 2, 3 other islands which you can also zone into as either an invader or defender. Obviously your home world, you're going to be the defender, and the 2 other worlds, which for now would be Isle of Janther or Maguma, you would be an invader, again trying to take that central keep in there, and or any other keeps. Usually what our server does is we'll take at least the west and the east keep on the server that is the highest threat, and it's actually worked out for us pretty well. I believe we've won the past, well, quote unquote won, because again the matches are very quick going. We've won our last 2 matchups basically by following a very simple philosophy, which I'll explain to you in a moment. So let's talk about the map here really quickly. Where I've spawned, you'll see my guy right here, is I've spawned at the starting gate waypoint, Dragonbrand Hill. It's usually named after your server or some variation of that, and here's what you have in your base camp. You have a waypoint and then a Zerg gates to either out of the place or into the other worlds. Now bear in mind, when you enter in a Zerg gate to a neighboring borderlands, like any of these 3, you will have to stay in a queue. So be careful when you do that. I mean, if it's full. If it's not full, obviously you go right in. That's what she said. Anyway, moving on, what we have here is a waypoint. And this is kind of important because if you go down during a battle, you will have to respawn at a waypoint, or be resurrected by your allies. But you can only go to the waypoint if you're defeated, and this contributes to the fact that it will be a very long run back to you. So for example, if we're fighting somewhere up here, Overwatch cut, and I get killed up there, and none of our keeps have built up waypoints, which is a purchasable upgrade, which I'll talk about in a bit, I will have to respawn all the way back here, and I will have to run back to help that battle, and that will take at least 5 minutes, and during which time obviously it'll be quite hard to win that, or the situation there is very likely to change. So the other things that they do have here, the 2 main ones I'll talk about. Well, first off, there's a kind of a tutorial guy. Hopefully I cover everything that he would tell you. But the 2 main merchants here, obviously there's also a repair guy. The main merchant right here is a siege master. He sells blueprints for flame rams, ballista, all the stuff that you would want to buy when you're sieging a keep or a tower, or the castle. And you can buy them for the World versus World currency, which is the badges here, or you can buy it for gold. I wouldn't recommend buying them with gold, especially if you're starting up. Like you say, I only have 1 gold right now, and I'm level 40. I haven't necessarily been doing anything to, raise that amount significantly, but just through questing and completing areas, you're not going to get enough money to do this efficiently. Now, usually I would say carry at least you know, a flame ram or a ballista. I currently have a flame ram and a ballista from previous World vs. World because I've had a fairly steady supply of badges coming in just from PvPing in here fairly often. Now, badges, the way to get badges is you'll have to loot bags that drop when you drop an enemy. Or damage an enemy that then gets dropped, and that you have to keep an eye out for this. So I highly recommend auto loot. Otherwise, you're just not going to be getting it. I actually missed out on quite a few badges because I wasn't aware of this, and so my badge total right now is pretty low. And a lot of people try to save them because there is gear you can get at level 60 from here. Honestly, I think that's kind of counterproductive. I think that a ballista or a flame ram is a little bit more useful than gear that's only level 60 gear, which you're going to replace anyway once you get to 80. So let's see, that about covers the vendors in here. Here's a karma vendor for some weapons, which I believe are 30, 35, and 40. Okay, they're fairly expensive, especially these. Maybe I'll get a breastplate from here or a weapon. But right now I don't actually have enough for a weapon. Anyway, those are level 40 weapons, which would, again, if they're purchased for badges, I would be going against my own philosophy here. So that about covers your starting waypoint. Again, there's other vendors here you can kind of mess around with and look at. There's also some traders and guild weaponsmiths and armorers, as well as a registrar. Anyway, that about covers your home waypoint. Again, that's the only way to respawn. Now let me cover the four objectives that we have here, right? So, starting off with the most important objective on a World vs. World map is the supply camps. People can argue that, you know, some people will be like, oh, it's Stonemas Castle, you want to hold that all the time. Yeah, okay, cool, if you have a fucking castle, but you're just like in any battle or any history thing you read about, you need supply. You need to be able to supply everything, and everything in World vs. World costs supply. All those blueprints I mentioned, you need supply to build them. You can only carry 10 supply on you, so you're going to need to have a supply camp nearby to run to. The reason I say that is because you don't ever want to take supply from a keep or a tower, because those towers and keeps are going to be under attack, and they need that supply to purchase upgrades to defend from such attacks. And you don't want to be the guy that runs up into a blue tower that's under siege to grab 10 supply from that tower to build a fucking arrow cart outside the walls, and that just gets destroyed pretty much right away. I mean, that's a terrible example of what you would do, but even if you're building an arrow cart in a good defensible position on a wall, you don't want to use supply from the keep, okay? It's just bad practice. You want to run to a nearby supply camp, and you want to grab supply from there, which then you transfer back. Now, yeah, is that a little dangerous? Yeah, but that's exactly why you want to have supply camps. My guild, at least the one guild that I am in for World vs. World, we make a point of holding supply camps that'll be hard to hold. For example, if we went up here and took one of these red supply camps, for example this one, we would set up there, put up about 5 ballista, and then we would just face stomp anyone that tried to get in there. Except this one's kind of a bad example because it's so near a tower. We would probably get rolled even with 5 ballista if the enemy knows what we're doing. Now, that being said, it's still something we would do. We would still drop those ballista. People in the guild are into World vs. World, and it is very important that they do stuff like that. Now, there is a battle right here, and my party members are actually right there. And I want to run there and help out right now, but I want to quickly talk about a few other things before I forget. So like I said, supply camp, super important. That's where you want to get supply. We just lost that keep, that tower. The two primary objectives you'll usually be fighting about are towers, like this one right here, and keeps. Towers have only one wall defense before you start heading into the actual keep itself. And keeps, and I believe Stonemas Castle also, have 2 walls that you need to break through. Now, each one of those is a siege in itself, and it's very common for people to break through the outer wall, get all hyped up, and then just be swept right up by a flanking force before they even reach the inner wall. And once you've gotten that force out of there, you can simply repair a wall, provided people haven't been stealing shit from your supply camp. You just repair that wall right back up, either using supply from the keep, which again is not recommended even for something like that. you would want to run to a supply camp, then repair the wall if you have time. And basically those are the two you're going to be fighting for. There's also little mini events in here, little camps you can control, little NPC camps, which throws in a little bit of a PvE sense into it. And these camps will actually be something you go in there, like here I cleared one out earlier, highlight camp, and they will either provide raiding parties or veteran NPC mobs that will help you with objectives. So as you see, green right here, they did a good job. They took the supply camp first, and now they have a keep here that is going to have caravans going to it. Looks like my guildies actually got killed, so I'm going to actually go and start playing with them. I think that about covers it. The one last thing I do want to mention is in Guild Wars 2, being in a guild is a lot more flexible than other MMOs. You can be in many guilds at once. This guild's kind of empty right now. We just started that yesterday. It's just a bunch of my real life friends. It's going to be a PvE guild. Hemlock Society is the guild I'm in for World versus World. Quite a much larger guild. Actively recruiting for World versus World. We try to get in, you know, anywhere from 10 to 20 people a night, but queues have kind of been fucking us over lately. So we are kind of holding, kind of frustrated with that actually. I mean, queues are something you deal with anything with a capped population, so you know, what can you do? But right here we just have, yeah, anyway, sorry, it's a World versus World guild. The GM is focused on that. He's getting the upgrades that allow that, one of which is like an upgrade for 24 hours that lets you grab 15 supply instead of 10. So you can see how that would be useful. See, again, they're getting rocked up there. So I'm going to be heading in. So let me give you a little bit of a breakdown of how I use. I'm a ranger. What I use in World versus World for actually fighting players. I use a short bow, and then I use an axe and warhorn combination. The main reason I use something with a warhorn is because I do run around a lot in World vs. World, and it has a lovely speed buff as well as a buff to might and fury. It also has a movement speed debuff and a stackable bleed, which is something I use a lot because with a short bow I also use conditioned damage. Now I kind of ran into a big fight here. This is not something I would usually do, just because, like I said, staying alive is really important. And I would like to eventually get on vent. Yeah, this looks like a losing fight. I should just get into that keep shit. See if I can get in there. They managed to drop me. Anyway, so what I was trying to do, there is a portal on the side of each gate. I was trying to make it into that. I recorded a really good battle here earlier, but my voice was very tubular because I had 2 audio sources plugged in, and so it sounded like shit. And I had to delete that recording, which is kind of a shame. Anyway, hopefully we can show you some good keep defense here. I'll actually normally use a longbow for that, so I have one in my inventory just kind of hanging out. Again, so I actually managed to give the speed buff to that guy. So we're running in. I use a conditioned build. I do tend to blow people up pretty well when I manage to stack everything on them well, and it doesn't really work in a big battle like this. You see Archimons right here. Just kind of getting smoked, so I'm going to help him out. I will hop on vent in a bit. So, looks like Grom's up there fighting, so let's go up in here. A couple of things to note when you're fighting in World v World. Like I said, you wanna finish off anybody that you see on low health. Like, it's kind of a gang raid in here right now on people. But anybody that's attacking keep walls, they're vulnerable. They're much more vulnerable than you would be if you were inside that keep and able to. Now, sorry, let's move that camera here. But right now these guys are doing a really good view of holding down our flank, and we can't really. Right. By the way, melee pets in here, they get wrecked. Now I'm actually kind of looking to do a ranged pet setup. I just gotta go find it. Which obviously just go to online stuff. In big battles like this, I do tend to spam one a lot and then tap target and see what's going on. Just so that I'm kind of in the middle of stuff. Kind of situationally aware of what's going on. For example, if they were to have a big group push around to the side, I'd be able to see that and kind of adjust appropriately. Because again, you want to stay alive as much as possible. So it looks like we're actually pushing them back a fair amount here. This is something that happens frequently. I mean, you go back and forth. You don't have to see these guys up here. These guys up here are doing what I really wanted to comment on. Doing. They're kind of tunnel visioned on the gate, and they have no idea that this giant group just came in behind them and wrecked their shit. So obviously we've pushed them off the wall here. This is their flame ram. I'm just going to put some arrows into that while I talk some more. One thing you do not ever want to do when you siege a castle. Now this doesn't necessarily apply in this situation to the people that we just cleared out of there. But when you see a pot of oil up there, right above the gate, right above that gate, you don't ever want to stand under it. It's just a waste of your life. Okay, that oil will fuck your world. We're gonna go take the supply camp real quick. Control point. Oh, first, and then there's a supply camp in there. So you don't ever want to stand at that gate when there's oil up there. Because that oil will mess you up. What you want to do in that case is you want to start putting any targetable AoE abilities. So actually, I don't have any right now on my bars to show you, but you're going to want to put AoE abilities on that oil until it goes down before you get up on that gate. Otherwise, you're just wasting time in life. The only exception to that, and this is a very careful exception that I wouldn't recommend unless you have a lot of evasion skills, is running in there to build a ram. If you have a ram up, it's hopefully people aren't dumb enough to do that and put that ram up, but it's very possible that they will. Reviving the pet. But you do want to stay away from those walls unless you have a secured kind of entry point. Now, it's different than say if there's just dudes on the walls AoEing. You still want to put damage on that gate. Normally people should have range setups in here as well. You know, not just because I'm a ranger doesn't mean that I'll always have a range setup. Everybody, warriors, guardians, should have some sort of ranged abilities that they're able to put up. Again, we're avoiding shit right here. Looks like they have at least an arrow card set up. So these guys are acting big and bad up here. Look at this, we already got a ram up. Oh, never mind, that's an enemy ram. Now, great places to be if there's not a whole lot of enemy up there. Right at the base of those towers, if you're attacking. Right. So right now, looks like over there they have an arrow cart build, which with a small group like this would actually be something that could mess our world up. Oh, shit. Alright, so look, right here they have a flame LED set up. So we go in here, build this real quick. I'm here. Probably, I might get fucked up. Now before I hop out, I'm going to drop this AoE healing. And now that flame arrow is built, and we can get to work. So I'm going to drop that range effect down. My pet has been dead quite a while. I'm just going to switch it. Send it on the gate. And what I do during sieges most of the time, obviously I try to keep an eye out for red circles of doom. Right now the big red circle of doom is an arrow cart. It's kind of raining hell down upon us. So I'm going to keep dropping the AoE heal here as much as possible. Give our guys a little bit of help. But there's no oil there. So all these guys that are doing damage to this gate, they're actually contributing to the team. They're not just kind of throwing their lives away. Again, right here, another arrow card blitz. Sometimes when you can hit these guys, because they won't actually hide themselves. It's good to hide them around. This invader right here, I don't know what he's doing. Looks like we've gotten a bit scattered. Again, see, they built those arrow carts up, and they got that down. We still have quite a few guys up, but a lot of them are dead. So we've pulled off the walls a little bit, forced them to come out into the battle. This guy up here. It looks like they have reinforcements over there.
Come here.
I really need 2 range beds for big battles like this, because my pet just gets wrecked all the time. Right now I'm just kind of harassing these guys. Obviously 1v3 I'm not really doing good, but I don't necessarily want to abandon the ship here yet. We have a catapult up, firing at the gate. 2 catapults up. I don't know why you build a catapult in the open like that. It's just gonna get fucked up. But, you know, it takes their attention off stuff. Again, it's like my abilities are actually up. No, it doesn't get fucked up. Shake it off! I'm getting, oh, I got overlapped fields there. This is gonna hurt now. So hopefully someone reses me, or I'll just die.
I'm here.
So yeah, I'm done. And it looks like that attack got repelled. And this is the fun of World versus World. If you have 3 competent servers fighting, you're going to go back and forth for a while. And so that right there was an example. We still hold that supply camp. We'll probably get pushed back a little bit. I'm actually going to see what Grom wants to do. Since we actually have at least 3 people doing stuff, we can actually do things that a huge zerg of people won't do. So the point I mentioned about the gate zergs, people that'll just stand there while burning oil gets pulled on them. I don't know if they have a hero complex or whatever it is.
Might and glory.
But you want to avoid doing stuff like that. You wanna kind of value your character's life, because like, I mean, I have to run quite a ways, just because I died there. So I was trying to do a little bit more evasion. And I do neglect things every now and then. Like sometimes I will just end up spamming 1 a lot while I kind of figure out what's going on. I'm gonna hop on vent with Grom, and then record whatever he's doing.
Severe weather warning.
Let's see what's going on over here. Again, things that I would like to iterate before I kind of stop talking here and then just get some clips going on. Don't ever take supply from anything but a supply camp. Oh, this looks good. Yeah, we're gonna get pushed back pretty hard here. Got out here by himself. Oh shit. Got out here by himself. Wow. Yeah, this is... I mean, when you have a Zerg of like 25 people like they did, there's not much you can do, just kind of try to slow them down. So we're gonna organize a new defense there at that tower, hopefully pretty soon. And they took that supply camp just like you should. So make sure, just kind of use some of these tips. Hopefully I helped out a little bit. I'm by no means a pro at this game. I make lots of mistakes. but I do try to contribute to the team. And again, there's lots of people in here, so you have to trust people to do the right thing. Oftentimes they won't, but you just kind of want to get in here and have some fun. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm trying to see if there's anything major that I missed. Again, don't take supply camps from towers and keeps. Make sure you take and defend supply camps. If you need good XP, you should defend supply caravans. The XP on that is quite a bit turned up right now. Just looks like these guys are right about at our gate. Go in here and kind of give you the perspective of what defending a siege would be like. Again, this is just amplified for castles and keeps quite a bit. I am thinking about building a ballista.
I cannot lose my pet. Gaining adrenaline.
I only have 5 supply right now.
You'll not die on my watch.
Hopefully, if we can build, I don't know necessarily why they built them over here. Because with the ballista, you have to have a line of sight to your target, and you have to be able to see your target. So they're only going to be able to hit people up on the bridge, but that might kind of help quell some reinforcements. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna pull down the Let's see who I can hit. When you're defending walls, you kind of want to keep an eye out for stuff like this. See, we have oil here. So let's see how well this other server is following instructions. See, they have no one at that gate. No one's up there at that gate fucking shit up and just dying because we still have that oil up. And that's kind of keeping them out there in range for our ballistas. Fuck that shit, get out of here, guy. Alright, so right now, you know, our so we got a couple heroes right here. Probably going to be able to... You just want to keep them from rezzing people up. So right now, you know, they just lost 4 people trying to get those guys up. And right now, those ballistas should be doing work. So they should be getting help, getting their shit kind of pushed in from those.
Not the leg.
Oh, this guy. Oh, I don't mind. I don't have my huge cooldown, but this guy should.
Feels nice.
Yeah, he's gonna bleed out. Alright, Ballista, what are you guys doing?
That is such a terrible wound. I chose you.
So, the one thing I did want to mention is that I usually use muddy terrain. Oh shit. Muddy terrain here. And right there, actually, that skill saved me. I usually use muddy terrain here instead of that signet. This usually because it helps root things for stuff like the ballista, which actually needs this guy goes down there. You know, sometimes you'll have people that I rolled off. So again, like I said, a lot of back and forth. Those 4 dudes are gonna chase that one guy all the way away. You know, might as well, right? Might as well. Let's try it. Push these guys back down the bridge. Maybe turn it and go take that supply camp. I'll drop some. Sorry for the frame rate. Like I said, I will be upgrading my video card pretty soon. He's not gonna die. Oh, he didn't. To get you guys a little bit better quality, definitely a larger size. We'll be getting this control point. So like I said, we're just going back and forth. I feel like this is a pretty good example of what you're going to see in World versus World as far as the kind of tug of war that goes on. I will be doing more World versus World videos. This is definitely something that interests me very much, and especially if we're going to be doing a siege of Storm's Castle or something like that. Whenever I see someone low on health like that, it just screams, you know, wanting to blow them up a little bit. Oh, fuck, damn, let this get good. Just got a little bit of cripple action. By which I mean crippling them, not cripple hot sex. Alright, and that supply camp has been pretty well cleared out. As you can tell, there is a decent amount of experience to be had in here, but you have to be pretty active. When you're kind of just sitting there defending something kind of in the back, you're not going to get as much as you will escorting supply Dahlia X. Or actively taking objectives. Excuse me. Oh, looks like I have a little bit of lag there. That's my apologies. Yeah, so that's that. If you have any requests for what I should do next, my next episode will be a dungeon running things for the average Joe. Just giving you some tips on how to survive in dungeons, and hopefully showing you a run where I actually lived through a dungeon. Dungeons are a lot harder in Guild Wars 2 than what you're probably used to, just as far as the status quo of MMOs go. So again, lots of arrow cards here. You want to kind of stay out of line of sight for these. We don't even have they don't have oil on them, which is surprising. They do have quite a few people up on the walls, but fairly safe here from arrow card fire. So, I mean, World vs. World, it's about staying alive, taking supply camps. In fact, I can go back and grab some supply. I don't know, if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and thank you for watching. I really hope it helps you.